In this video lesson, we'll explore the Battle of Yorktown as it brings an end to the American Revolution. Following Saratoga in 1777, Britain's Parliament offered Americans home rule within the empire, granting everything colonials had asked for except for independence. Ben Franklin, the Congress's envoy to Paris, played on France's fears of a reconciliation in an attempt to force the French into an open alliance with the Americans. In addition to Franklin's influence, the Declaration of Independence and the American victory at Saratoga all combined to convince King Louis to intervene. In 1778, the French and American envoys signed two treaties, one a treaty of alliance and the other a treaty of amity and commerce. With these treaties, the struggling republic entered into its first entangling alliance, one which in the short run helped ensure American independence and forced England to change its strategy in America, but in the long run is going to complicate post-war reconciliation efforts between England and the United States. France's entry into the war forced British officials to reevaluate their objectives. Some questioned whether the war was worth continuing or whether to seek a negotiated peace. George III, however, was determined to crush the American rebels, advocating a new Southern military strategy. New England was temporarily abandoned to recapture the heavy Loyalist South. This Southern strategy called for moving north into the Middle Colonies once Loyalists restored power to the South, leaving recapture of New England for last. General Clinton replaced Howe as commander of the British forces in North America, and in 1778, Georgia was captured. Immediately afterwards, the British organized 20 Loyalist militia units to join them in their war effort. You can see the battles of the American Revolution that took place in the South in this individual map here. We will explore these battles more in class. In May of 1780, the British under Clinton and Cornwallis captured Charleston, South Carolina, forcing the surrender of 5,000 American soldiers and 400 pieces of artillery. In August, General Gates, leading another American army, suffered defeat in the Battle of Camden against Cornwallis. Britain's southern strategy in 1780 succeeded in part because of more accurate information about American troop movements, which were supplied by General Benedict Arnold, an American hero of several key battles, who became a traitor. Arnold had begun his treasonous plot sometime in 1779, opening secret negotiations with General Clinton in New York and trading information for £6,000 and an officer's commission in the British Army. Subsequently, Arnold's plot to deliver West Point into British hands was uncovered and foiled when Patriots captured the messenger between Arnold and General Clinton. After Gates's defeat by the British at Camden, the rural South degenerated into vicious guerrilla warfare, revitalizing Patriot support in western South Carolina. Patriots and Loyalists both engaged in guerrilla warfare, ravaging and burning the property of their enemies and those who claimed neutral status. In South Carolina, nearly 6,000 men became guerrilla fighters, participating in about 26,000 engagements against Loyalist militia units. Some of these engagements were classic battles, but many were just acts of plundering and killing, clear deviations from the laws of war. From inception, Britain's southern strategy needed strong Loyalist support to hold territory conquered by the British Army, a fact rendered useless by guerrilla warfare. In October 1780, at Kings Mountain, General Nathaniel Greene's Virginia sharpshooters massacred a small British army, shooting some of them as they surrendered. Then, in January of 1781, at the Battle of Cowpens, General Greene's regular troops and militia defeated the British. These battles, as well as American guerrilla actions, prevented the British in South Carolina from foraging for food and other supplies in the small towns and countryside. Britain's Cornwallis reacted to these American actions by moving his army into North Carolina in an effort to prevent North Carolinians from moving men and supplies to American forces farther south. In March of 1781, at Guilford Courthouse, Cornwallis's army defeated an American force, but it further sapped the strength of his army and consumed more of his supplies. Following that, Cornwallis's army moved to occupy Wilmington, North Carolina, before moving north into Virginia. By June of 1781, Cornwallis had captured Williamsburg, the seat of Virginia's legislature, forcing it and Governor Thomas Jefferson to flee to Charlottesville, Virginia. A British raiding party sent to Charlottesville captured a few members of the legislature but failed to capture Thomas Jefferson. He escaped 10 minutes ahead of the British. Cornwallis interpreted these small achievements as indications the Southern strategy was succeeding, which clearly were not in the war's larger context. General Clinton, who was headquartered in New York, ordered Cornwallis to Yorktown, Virginia, to await resupply and fresh troops by sea. In addition, Cornwallis thought that Yorktown was a good place for him to resupply because they had learned during the Battle of Saratoga that getting too far from the coast or from the British fleet was a very big mistake because they were unable to resupply as easily or as quickly as they needed to. Cornwallis's move to Yorktown had dire consequences for Britain's entire war effort. By the time British ships arrived, everything had changed. You can see this is a map of Yorktown and what it looked like with Cornwallis here on the peninsula. Before the British fleet arrived, the French fleet, commanded by Admiral de Grasse, controlled Chesapeake Bay and blockaded the Yorktown Peninsula. The British did not know that the French fleet had arrived and was heading their way. General Washington's army, together with a French army under the command of a man named Rochambeau, had sealed off any other escape by August of 1781. On September 5th, 1781, the Battle of the Chesapeake Capes began between the French and English fleets, which lasted 5 days and ended in a French victory which doomed Cornwallis's army at Yorktown by preventing reinforcements and resupply or rescue from reaching him. Cornwallis's army of 7,500 troops, with the critically low supplies, was left to face a combined force of over 16,000 American and French troops. On October 19, 1781, Cornwallis's army surrendered after 12 days of non-stop artillery bombardment, ending military hostilities and bringing an end to the American Revolution. We will investigate the Battle of Yorktown and the strategy used there in greater detail in class.